Today's show is sponsored by our friends at OrcaCoolers.com. From roto-molded coolers that keep your ice good for days. They have drinkware like the barrel, the football barrel, the shorty, the stein, the teeny, the vino. They have chasers. They have coffee campers and travelers. All sorts of stuff. It's going to keep your drinks cold or hot. You're going to have coolers that will keep ice for days, and they're bear-proof. Go to OrcaCoolers.com/bourbon for 15% off your order. That's OrcaCoolers.com/bourbon. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Old Limestone Mixing Water. It is the mixing water of Kentucky bourbon. We are firm believers here at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Drink however you want to drink. You want ice in it? Put ice in it. You want to put some water in it? Put water in it. If you're going to put water in it, use water that was filtered through limestone in an aquifer that's 130 feet under the ground. Old Limestone's unique Kentucky limestone aquifer produces a rich, velvety, smooth water with hints of calcium and magnesium, which amplify flavors. Yet with no iron at all, you can make bourbon anywhere you want, but 95% of it is made in Kentucky because the water is special. Use Old Limestone water to mix. Take the taste test. Pour a bourbon neat. Sip it. Now add Old Limestone, swirl it, and sip again. Check out Old Limestone at oldlimestone.com, or they're available at a store near you or online.
Bourbon and Beyond this September in Louisville, Kentucky with Bruno Mars, The Killers, Black Keys, Brandy Carlisle, plus Duran Duran, Billy Strings, Black Crowes, the Avett Brothers, Blondie, and so many more. Bourbon and Beyond, September 14th through 17th in Louisville, Kentucky. All passes on sale now at bourbonandbeyond.com.
All right, Zeke, what other bad influence do you have for people in this room?
I think you just regurgitate what you said offline, and we go from there.
I mean, I don't want to necessarily do that with the person's father in the room.
It's life advice. I think.
Yeah, but he might not want that on the podcast, like with us giving him, the kid, that life lesson.
I think go for it.
All right, we were just explaining to our friend John's son that beer before liquor, never been sicker. Liquor before beer, you're in the clear. Words to live by, right?
Sage advice.
PSA.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon wherever you are, whatever time it is. Thank you for making us part of your day. And this episode, we are joined again by our friend John Byers, who I feel like could take Zeke's job very easily on this show.
Easy.
That's not saying much.
But John...
Nod, drink, talk every 15th minute.
Yeah, John... is a great human being who donated to Folds of Honor and got to do a tasting with us and do a couple podcasts. We threw in, we were like, let's keep doing them.
I love it.
We had so much fun the first one. This one's going to be shorter because we do have to get your son home. He's out late. But tell us a little bit about yourself again for the people that didn't listen before. You have your own podcast besides being just a great human being.
Well, thank you for that. It's so good to be here with you guys. Big fan of you both individually and of the show. So thanks for having me. John Byers. I've got 4 kids. I am a dad, so I fit the mold here. We've got bookends, a daughter that's 5 and an oldest that's 17, and 2 in between there with Ross that's 15, and then Max who's hanging out a little bit as a fly on the wall in the room, who's 13, and so it's so good to be here. Yes, run a podcast in the spare time. Also do some insurance along the way, and enjoy bourbon, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, Zeke's just said that. I think on the offline part.
Oh, that was all the applications where I think Beam is fitting.
That's right. You did.
Zeke said breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then once before you go to bed.
As equally as fitting as that turquoise jewelry that they're rocking.
I told
beautiful.
you, John could fit in so well. Like, we're going to have to do another show with him sometime because anybody who can give Zeke shit about that turquoise bracelet.
I love it, actually.
So for those of you, we didn't mention this in the first show, and I think it goes, we need to mention it before we leave. Zeke shows up in this deep V shirt and like Lululemon athletic sweatpant looking pants.
They're leisure. I'm not athletic. Come on.
Leisure pants. But like a dressy turquoise bracelet. Like it's not fitting for his outfit.
It's like Navajo or something.
We'll need a picture of that on the Facebook page.
100% we need a picture of that on the Facebook page. But I have no idea. Zeke's style tonight is all over the place. And then he's got some bright orange shoes that he announces to us. These are women's shoes. What kind of woman has a size 14 man's foot?
I'm serious.
He is making statements here tonight.
I had to get these things out of Italy, too.
Good for you.
The treats keep coming.
Imported women's shoes, turquoise jewelry from estate sales in California. I feel like
a lot of confidence here.
A lot of confidence, but a lot of just trolling the web for some dumb shit, right?
I feel like once you get to the point where you're comfortable and know what you want to embrace and enjoy, you just go with it.
Well, you know what? There is no value greater than owning yourself.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I truly believe that. Once you stop thinking you have to impress other people, your whole life changes.
I mean, that's fair, but you also got to let some other people think they, quasi own you a little bit, like a woman or three.
Touche. On that note, we are drinking a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye as a permanent extension of its single barrel collection. This started on May 16th. It is National Tennessee Whiskey Day today, by the way.
Go figure.
Congratulations to the Tennessee Whiskey Trail. They unveiled a new logo today, a whole bunch of other good stuff. But the Jack Daniel Distillery introduces Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye whiskey as the newest member of its single barrel collection. Available now in the U.S., Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye is bottled straight from the barrel and offered at proof points ranging between 125 and 145. Jack Daniel's Rye Whiskey has a grain bill of 70% rye, 18% corn, and 12% malted barley, and is charcoal mellowed before aging in new handmade white oak American barrels. Only specially selected barrels aged at the highest reaches of barrel houses and producing whiskey with deeper colors and flavors are selected for the single barrel collection. And then there's some quotes, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be $59.99.
I would simply say, also to summarize a conversation we had offline, if you haven't had barrel proof Jack, whether it be the rye or the whiskey or bourbon or whatever you want to call it, we're not going there. Either way, sure, most of us had normal Jack at some point. It may or may not have been our favorite, but barrel proof Jack offerings are a complete 180 in at least my and what I would say our opinions. And so if you've never had one or you've been squeamish due to the previous non-barrel proof offerings, just give it a whirl. You probably won't be mad.
What makes it unique for you? Like, what makes it that much better?
I just think that it's such a different array of flavors. I mean, the first time, this was probably, 3 or 4 years ago, John, maybe? But the first time went on a barrel proof Jack whiskey pick with our buddy Prav Saraf out of D.C., and I really went so far as to say, better than GTS. And I will still stand by it.
That's a big time statement.
I've been lucky enough, I think, to do like
bracelet.
I am telling you, if you're going to own something, you got to own it, right?
Love it.
But I think I've been parts of like 9 barrel proof Jack whiskey picks now.
Wow.
Love them to death. I think it's some of the most slept on bourbon whiskey, again, whatever you want to call it, in the game. And granted, they are harder to get now, like everything else, just because with popularity and whatnot, and then also glass shortages. But I think anyone that tells you they hate Jack, if you poured them 4 different, at least 110 proof bourbon or whiskeys, or barrel proof, or whatever you want to do, but again, like 110 or higher, so you're getting some kick in there. I would be willing to bet more times than not the Jack would be in the top 2, if not number 1. And even more so, once you told them that that's what they ranked that high in a blind, they'd have a few choice words for you, like no something
I would
way I ranked
I'd be in that
that
camp.
something that high.
Yeah, I think I'd be in that camp.
The funny thing is, we normally don't have like a lot of celebrities on this show, and we had one on one time, and we wanted to do this thing. I said, okay, he can come on, but I want to do like Hot Ones. Have you ever seen Hot Ones where they eat?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I said, I want to do it like whiskey. So I had blind samples on the table, and we would go through, and I'd be like, okay, tell me about like, what was it like to record? Okay, drink your first whiskey. And like, it said in the whole thing that he did not like Jack. So the first thing I did was I put in Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof as like the third one. And he's like, this is really, really good. I'm like, this is Jack Daniel's. Like, and he's like, no shit, really? I'm like, yep.
Well, I got to tell you, of the choices that we were looking at to taste, you asked me what I would prefer, and I chose the Jack largely because I've never been more excited in my life than I am today about being wrong. And I thought, if that's here, I want to be able to taste it to see if I'm wrong, because traditionally I fall into that camp of not knowing enough or not trying the right Jack Daniels. And I'm glad I did. And I'm sure we'll get into that. We'll talk more about it.
Well, plus, I do always ask too, like, is it because it was the high school pour and there's some memories? Like, for the longest, I couldn't drink turkey. Too many field parties between 16 and 21 or 2 probably, and the smell of it, we didn't get along too well. But I feel like there's got to be some part of the camp that's, anti-Jack that falls in the same thing, and it just kind of is what it is. But I always ask folks, like, is it actually just the flavors of regular Jack, or just too many rough nights too early on in the game plan?
It's a good question. I don't know that I've ever had much Jack in my life. Certainly not any rough nights because of Jack, even though we share the same initials. I would tell you that I think maybe I just skipped over and I moved into the bourbon phase and never paid much attention. And then I kind of got maybe more snotty about it. I don't know. I mean, just to be frank, I think maybe that's what I did.
Well, I think the thing with Jack too, though, is that when you look at like number 7, that's one thing.
Right.
And I'm not a big fan of that. But once they got into the select and the barrel proof and all these limited offerings that they're doing right now, like Coy Hill and stuff like that, that's the Jack you have to seek out. Not just like the old number 7, the 80 proof stuff. Like, that's not going to be your jam. We've all had it in Coke, and
right.
It's like, how do you drink that Jack? Oh, I drink Jack and Coke. Like a lot of people aren't like, I love number 7 neat.
Right.
People say I love Jim Beam white label neat, but people don't say like I love.
There he is.
I'm with you, but. A lot of people don't go around and go like, oh man, I love some Jack neat, it's just, but they market Jack and Coke, like they market it as have a Jack and Coke. Anyways, Zeke, I'm going to give John a break. You tell me what you got in this whiskey first.
What did I give him a break for? I wanted to hear this.
Because last time he wanted you to go first.
Last time I blew it.
No, he didn't blow it. He just said he wanted you to go first, so I was trying to be respectful to his wishes.
Oh, I missed that part, but I forget a lot.
So in a similar fashion to, and I am going to defer to you, so be ready, but I will start similarly to what I said last time. when I tasted this, the first thing that came to mind was the smell of fireworks on New Year's Eve. In a nostalgic way, not in a smoky kind of way, which sounds like, how does that even make sense? Totally get it. But in a way that just kind of felt good and exciting, and a remnant, right? Like just something that took me back to special events in my life. And I'm putting a lot on this particular bourbon, but I'm not a big fan of like the mezcal smoky type of flavors, but there's a smokiness, or even peatiness, but there's a smokiness to this that I like, and it takes me to that moment. And I love the price point, by the way.
Yes.
I love the price point for this pour. It's really fantastic.
My notes were pretty simple on this one. Some heat, and then I put down Lincoln rye, and by that to mean like Lincoln County method, charcoal, etc., and also a rye product. I just put charcoal, sweet,
charcoal,
rye, heat. I'd call it holiday goodness in a similar fashion. And it's got a good viscosity that allows that flavor to just sit there and go. But even for a barrel-proof product, the heat doesn't climb up, especially with a rye. To me, I think it's pretty novel. It just sits there, and I mean, kind of reminds you over and over how good it is.
I think I wrote down sweet candy. It is just sweet candy to me. The other thing I would say, though, is when you do the nose on this one, you almost can smell the warm barrel that it rested in. Not just the charcoal in there. There's a little bit of charcoal with mellowing as well, but I'm actually getting warm barrel on the nose. And the sweetness of this one for 137 proof is phenomenal. And I am a huge, huge, huge fan. I know that these are going to come out. There's going to be varying proofs. We are all going to be talking about how some proofs are better than others. But this was incredible for me. The price is always right for Jack Daniels and these limited offerings they're putting out. I love that this is now going to be a staple for the brand. We're going to see this all the time. And hats off to Jack. Hats off to Chris Fletcher. Hats off to Lexi. Thank you for everything y'all are doing over there, because you're killing it.
And it is a rye, and it is barrel proof, and I wouldn't want anyone to think we were trying to look ballsy or whatever you want to say it, because it's got some heat to it. I wouldn't want anyone to say
it doesn't taste 137.
No
for what it is.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at the label and you know what you're getting yourself into. Like, buy the ticket, take the ride kind of thing. But with that mindset, I think that's kind of where we all are, as in like, I expected more singe, more other things than just goodness, sweetness, and the profile that ends up coming across the board.
And I want to say to all the listeners out there, like, if you were like me, where I had this stake in the ground against Jack Daniels, I am so glad to say that stake has been removed thanks to this pour. Had you asked me if I had not seen the label what the proof was, I probably would have guessed 118, 120. But the fact that this is 137, big fan. Take me back to New Year's Eve. I'm glad to be wrong and to remove that stake in the ground for me.
Yeah, I mean,
Cheers
honestly, I think the only dig anybody could have at this is that they're putting it out in the middle of summer when it's already hard to drink barrel proof whiskey in the summer to begin with,
sure,
much less a rye. But imagine if this dropped at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I need about 2 cases from the middle of November until January 1.
Yeah.
Well, stock up on them now, and then you'll have
There
them
you
for
go.
then.
Yeah, I keep trying that. It doesn't work out too well.
They're just giving you more time to find them. But, John, thank you again. It is the GOAT Consulting Podcast.
That's right.
Zeke, you have anything you want to close out with?
I like my bracelet.
It's beautiful.
John, thank you so much
So
for
good
everything
to be
you did
here.
for Folds of Honor. Go ahead and go to Folds of Honor, Tennessee.
Yep.
Their Rock and Jock softball is coming up. Make sure you go to that. You can find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please leave us an open and honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Good old Nashville, Tennessee.
Cheers.
Ciao.
Boom.